Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the Construction Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Bradley Hartman. I'm excited to bring to you today my conversation with the chief dirt nerd at BuildWitt. Yes, that's what he calls himself. His name is Aaron Witt. He's got a fantastic story. And for anyone who looks at the construction industry and says, I'm not really sure about this talent coming up in the next generation, don't worry. This guy and the talent that he's bringing into the industry, telling different stories, resonating with people that are in their 20s, but also really connecting with leaders and helping them think different, who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond. Everybody, I think, is extremely powerful. He worked for Witt and Skanska and Hayden and Dallas Fort Worth, coming out of Arizona State University, and then said, I'm quitting. I'm going a different direction. Started building this company, BuildWitt, and now he helps attract, recruit, train the next generation of leaders in our industry in English and Spanish. He also does media and branding and works with sponsorships. He's hosting the very first Dirt World Summit in Houston that he's going to share. He's got Jocko Willing speaking there. This guy's got a ton going on, and he's 28 years old. Super impressive. Big fan of his podcast as well. I've learned a lot. It's called Dirt Talk, which I would strongly recommend to a friend. Go there, subscribe to it. So I'm going to quit rambling. Without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Mr. Aaron Witt. As always, thanks for listening. Mr. Aaron Witt, welcome to the show.
I appreciate having me.
Dude, I'm thrilled you're here. I know you're a busy man, getting you on here, and I just assumed you'd be in the Middle East somewhere or, in Reykjavik on some mining, project or something. So I'm excited you're here.
I will be in the Middle East in the not so distant future, so that's not too far off.
All right. I'm going to derail this right from the beginning. Can we talk about the Ironman? You just got done, less than 2 weeks ago. You completed your first Ironman?
Yeah. First triathlon, which was an adventure.
If we're going to do it, might as well do it right. What possessed you to say, what we're going to do? 2.4 miles? How long's a swim?
2.4 miles, 116 on the bike, and then a marathon, 26.2 miles.
There you go. What possessed you to do such a thing?
In 2020 was a weird year for everybody in the entire world for an obvious reason. I basically just sat down and thought, what are 3 crazy fitness goals I could work toward and put on my calendar that are scary? And I came up with, for whatever reason, 3 random goals, and it was qualify for the Boston Marathon, since I'd run a marathon before, and Boston is like the holy grail of marathons in the world. And I knew you had to be a really competitive runner to even qualify. So I wanted to qualify for the Boston. I wanted to run a 100-mile race, and then I wanted to finish an Ironman, a full triathlon. And I didn't really know how I was going to do one of the 3. If not, like all 3 was crazy. I didn't even know how to do each one on their own. And I just started chiseling away. And so the Ironman was the last of the 3. And so I've crossed everything off on this list. And now I guess I need a new list, is what people tell me.
Well, when I was reading up, and correct me if this is not accurate, so you went out to run the 100-mile race, which to me, that almost seems more daunting than the Ironman. And you said I failed. You only ran 65 consecutive miles. Yeah. Which is 2.5 marathons, which again, I'm like, dude, I maybe in my younger days I had the ambition, but I didn't. Like, that just seems insane. So what was that experience like?
The first thing I tried to knock off the list was the 100-miler. And because I was running a lot in 2020, 2021, I started running in 2018 consistently because I was traveling full time. And the nice thing about running is all you need is a pair of shoes and you have no excuse. So I started working out every day. I think in 2019, I've worked out every day since. And to not have an excuse is a good way to make sure you get your workout in daily. And so I figured that's it's one of the ones that I think I can tackle first. I signed up for a race in Texas with my friend Chemo. And I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have a nutrition plan. I wasn't strong enough, and it was a miserable experience. I think it was like 15 or 16 hours, made it 65 miles, and then threw in the towel. It was a very big slice of humble pie. And I gobbled it up and got back on the path and ultimately got the job done on my second go around. But it's funny, saying you've done an Ironman is way more impressive to people than the 100-miler, but the 100-miler is way harder. It's way more abusive.
So you went back and then you finished the 100-miler.
So yeah, I did a different race with a different friend of mine 2 years later. So it took me a while. I went and did the Boston Marathon in between and ended up qualifying on my first go for that. Then ran the Boston, and then I did another 100-miler. I Googled, it's kind of an oxymoron, but I Googled easy 100-mile race and signed up for the Hennepin 100, which is said to be the easier 100-mile race because it's flat. It's along a canal and cornfields in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. And then it's point to point. So you get on the bus at like 3 a.m, 4 a.m, and then you drive 100 miles, or whatever it is. So you're on the school bus for a long time, going all the way out to this random town in the middle of nowhere. And then, yeah, it's you. And I ran it with my friend Benjamin, just out there for nearly 24 hours.
That's where Google needs to come back and just say, false. Easiest 100-mile race, false. Nope, yeah. Wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, appreciate that context. Super impressive. Congratulations. Take me back to you're 12 years old. You're in the 6th grade. Tell me about like geographically where you are, maybe a little about your family. Like what are you into? What's Aaron into around 12 years old?
12 years old was an interesting time. I didn't really enjoy middle school. I think a lot of people don't because it's really weird. Yeah, you're just changing and there's girls and all kinds of weird stuff going on. But I was at a private school in Paradise Valley, Arizona, where I grew up. It's a rough neighborhood for anybody that knows it. And I say rough in jest. It's not even slightly rough. Everybody was pretty well off. So everybody's dad was somebody, which was really cool. I would spend time around these very successful people. My upbringing, and I didn't really appreciate it or understand it at the time, but I was able to absorb a lot of habits during that. My dad, about that time, I believe my parents were getting divorced. So that's when life definitely started to change from a family standpoint. My dad then started to, at that point, wind his career down as a tax lawyer. And so he retired at a company called BuildWitt, which is one of the largest firms in the world. And that's pretty much it. I was playing a lot of video games, just doing kid stuff. I don't think I had any one love at that point. I didn't get into my aquarium phase until I think I was in 7th or 8th grade, but that took over. But 6th grade, I think I was just being a little punk.
Okay. So we're going to fast forward the timeline. You go to Arizona State University, you come out, you work with a couple name brand companies, field engineer, Witt, Skanska. You work here. I'm based in Dallas, DFW, nice. Work with Hayden.
Yeah.
What do you see? What was the insight or what was the delta between where we are now and where we should be that gave you the confidence to say, you know what we need to be doing, or you know what needs to exist is what you have now and the team you've built and, just looking, finding and posting jobs, learning and development, marketing and media. You got the Dirt Talk podcast. You have in such a relatively short amount of time, I think brought something new to our construction space that was sorely needed. What did you see back then that other people didn't?
I don't really know if I saw all that much different. When I was in construction, so I worked for 5 different contractors as I was in college. That was the advice given to me, was go try out a bunch of different contractors and just learn what you like. Do you like vertical? Do you like horizontal? Do you like big companies, small companies, working at a state, working in the field, working in the office? What do you like? And so I got to try a bunch of stuff. And when I graduated, I started talking about some of that and sharing some pictures on the internet, on Instagram, because I wanted to build my personal brand to make myself more employable future state. I heard that was a big deal coming up on a podcast, and I thought, all right, I'm going to go build my brand and give myself hopefully more career options in the future. I wanted to be one day a contractor, so I wanted to work my 20s in construction, and then finance a skid steer, finance a backhoe, and have at it just moving dirt for a living. And when I was out there after graduation, that's when the storytelling thing started to take off a little bit. I started to get a following because I guess, if nothing else, what I saw was this world that is the dirt world. That's infrastructure, moving dirt, building roads, bridges, airports, that kind of thing. I saw it as really cool, but I didn't see it from a high quality storytelling standpoint. I didn't see, there wasn't a lot about the industry on the internet. And you could go look at cars and there'd be all these crazy photos and videos and information. And it was so cool and dynamic. And then you'd go to construction that is dynamic in the reality of it, but didn't really exist online. I thought I could at least play a role in making it more known. And then I get picked up by a software company a few months into my construction career. It was a gig too good to turn down. But then 4 months after that, I just say, hey, this storytelling thing, there's some merit to it. There's this workforce challenge that everybody's talking about. I've experienced it a little bit. I still don't totally understand it, but I think I can go apply high quality storytelling to help attract people to this industry. That was it. So I didn't have this big plan, vision, business plan, whatever it was. I just didn't want to be in the job I was at anymore. And so I quit, and then I had to make something of that now. Yeah. So I put myself in a position where I had to figure it out. And as a result, you end up figuring it out.
Yeah, I cannot stand it. And it's probably at least once a month now. I think a lot of our clients know, like, I don't want to hear it. Guys will say, I don't know. It's tough to get talent. We just don't have a sexy industry. I said, what are you talking about? Like, look at what we get to do every day. Most other jobs now, most of the money comes through service jobs. Most of them are sitting in some sort of cube farm or now in their guest bedroom. If this isn't a sexy industry, building the globe, building America, airports, bridges, right? Hospitals, high rises, single family homes, like whatever. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing? What is some of your initial advice when you go in or someone approaches you and they say, Aaron, check out our website. We've listened to you. We believe that we have successfully connected with this idea of high quality storytelling. And you go to the website and you're like, actually, yours looks, maybe it's nice. It does look like every single other one that's on the planet. There's not a story there. Are there a couple tenets or questions that you start with when working with clients to help them understand what high quality storytelling looks like in our industry?
Yeah, I think one of the core tenets has always been authenticity. You'll go to a lot of websites and you'll quickly see stock photos that are complete nonsense or photos that just don't really depict what they do. Like, go to a mining company's website and try to look for mining. For whatever reason, their business appears to be planting trees and smelling flowers and testing water, which is an important part of it. The environmental component, is really important, but sure. Show me the mining, show me what you do, pulling stuff out of the ground, because that's your business. That's how you make money. That's how you make the world turn. And so I think authenticity is absolutely key. That's something I've always pushed for. I think a lot of companies are afraid to show the authentic nature of the industry because it's dirty, it's hard, it's imperfect. But my argument is that's what makes it what it is, and that's how it can compete with the cube farms and the work from home in your guest bedroom, because it is outside. It's in the elements. It's different every day. You're solving different challenges. You're in different places, building different things. And I think that's very rare in today's society, yet it's very aligned with what I think human nature wants and what humans want in a career. So I think authenticity is key. I guess from a website standpoint, most websites in the industry don't have a very simple way of even applying, which is ironic. Everybody badly needs people, but most websites are very hard to navigate and don't allow you to apply. Right. And so I talk with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young people who can't find a way into construction. And they go to these websites and there's no pathway there. Or if there is a pathway, it's, well, you need 3 to 5 years experience. And that doesn't exist anymore. It's completely irrational, which then discourages them. And then they go to UPS or Amazon or whoever it is as a result. And so I think we need to talk about what we do in an authentic manner and then make pathways. If you go to any university website, it's very, very simple on how it's laid out. Here's why you should go here, because we are best in the world at this or this stupid list or whatever it is, but they already address why you should go there. And then what do you want to go study? And here's how you do it. Very straightforward. And that's not the reason why colleges have won over the past few decades, but it is it's something to look at, that's for sure, because it's easy. It's a path that's laid out that I can follow, prescriptive. I don't really have to think about it, and that's how the world works nowadays.
Yeah, no, it's well said. I had about 6 months ago, we were working with a client, commercial construction space, and they said, really in this area, the demographic they were looking for was a Hispanic craft worker. And they're just like, we're just really kind of struggling. Feel like we've done a lot of things right. Go to your website, check it out. Let me know what you see. And I went, I said, number one, it's hard to apply. Number two, there's nothing in here that makes it easy. If I happen to, again, some of these Hispanic folks, they might prefer Spanish. How are we making that easy? And they're like, you know what? This came up a few months ago. But I think to your point, like there are some, let's take a step back of what we do every day, right? Let's just say, how are we making it easy or hard? Where is there friction or where isn't for the most obvious things we want people to do?
Yeah. And we've translated whole websites for companies in DFW in Spanish because this is, everybody's like, well, I don't need a website to get work. Okay. Yeah. You don't need a website to get work. You have all the work you need. That's fantastic. Good for you. I think that's awesome. But you do need it to get that next generation, to get people in the door, to get the people to build the work, because unless you have people to the brim within your business, which isn't really any construction company right now, you can probably improve on that subject. And just because you wouldn't go apply on the internet doesn't mean everybody doesn't apply on the internet. Just because you knocked on the door and asked for a shot when you were 18 in 1978, that's not how things work nowadays. And you have to meet people where they are, whether they speak Spanish, whether they're young and used to an online world, whether they don't have experience and just want a pathway in. You have to go where they are to expect them to meet you where you are and ultimately go down your path.
What have you found from meeting with business leaders and working with your clients on helping some folks that might be struggling with, because this is the way we've always done it, because this is the way we grew up, and now they're recognizing the challenges, about their willingness to maybe innovate, maybe not, but at least kind of change their minds? What advice might you have for any listeners who are thinking of their leaders at the organization, large or small, about their willingness to say, if we're trying to recruit younger talent, this younger talent, this generation thinks differently, which means we need to adapt, not force them to adapt to us?
I don't know if I have changed any minds. I'm working on that every day. I don't know if I have or not. What I say to people is, we know what we've done up until now is not working anymore. It's like, it's no secret. And everybody nods their heads like, yeah. And then I also say, is change really new in this world? Because it's not. I'll show a picture of the Hoover Dam and I'll ask, if we built the Hoover Dam today, would it look different? And everybody, yeah, of course. It's like, yes, we've evolved as an industry for decades and decades and decades. Now, we just haven't necessarily evolved from a workforce standpoint quite yet, but we've evolved, we've changed, we've adjusted and adapted to market conditions. What did we do in 2008, 2009, 2010? We changed, we evolved, we adapted to make our businesses work. And this is just another evolution of that. That's it. And I especially some of the older folks is I say, hey, you have spent your entire life learning all of these lessons and failing and overcoming adversity, and you're really proud of what you've learned and accomplished. But if you walk off the job site for the last time when you retire and take all that with you, what's your legacy? Yeah. What are you doing to set up the industry for success without you? You're going to take all that with you and let ego get in the way because that kid is not worth your experience or not as hard as you or needs to go to the school of hard knocks because you went to the school of hard knocks. That sucks because that kid probably wants to learn and understand, but you have to go first. You have to put your hand out and maybe think, okay, they learn differently, but that's okay. I can still hand my knowledge to them, and I need to hand my knowledge to them because if I leave with it, I'm not just endangering my legacy, but I'm endangering this industry. And if I'm endangering this industry, I'm putting society at risk. I'm putting my kids at risk. Well, my kids aren't in construction. Okay, your kids are in banking and real estate. What good is a banker without a bank or without a road or without a toilet, without power? That's what this world does. So I think it's definitely on the previous generation to solve this. I think the quote is, the hero you're looking for is the hero within. Mm-hmm. You are the hero is what I tell people. But then at the flip side, I also tell young people, hey, be patient, work hard, keep your mouth shut, just do your job, right. and listen and ask questions and watch and be someone worth investing in. Mm-hmm. Because if you're able to do that, you'll be able to go anywhere with this workforce problem. The workforce problem is any young person's huge opportunity if they play it right. But you also have to meet people where they are from the other side too.
I think that's why you have such a powerful voice, is to be able to speak intelligently and candidly to those older, yet also, right? What are you, 28, 29?
28, yeah.
28. All of a sudden, you just wake up one day, and let me tell you, you're 45, and you're like, I was young once. I thought I was. But you can talk to these young folks and also say things that if it's coming from someone older, if you're 45 or you're 50 and you're like, shut your mouth, work hard, be patient. This is what all the boomers tell me to do. But now it's coming from someone they look up to and says like, dude, you look like me, or I want to look like you in 3 years. So I think that's really powerful. I'm going to switch gears here just a little bit here. I just listened to, about a week and a half ago, one of your recent episodes, it was fascinating. You were talking about the kind of supply chain of oil in general. And a lot of that I didn't know. And I learned from that, but you told a story about, I believe you were in the Middle East. You fly there 24 hours. You were driving in a car for 6 hours, heading to some, I believe, a gold mine. And there was a person who didn't really speak English. I'm just fascinated to know, what have you learned about building trust with people when you are a visitor, whether you're going to Minneapolis or you're going, somewhere in Kuwait, with people who don't really know you, but they know that you're there to serve a purpose and you have a job to do, about gaining credibility and trust quickly with or without cultural and language barriers?
Yeah, it's such a interesting skill and such an interesting art form, because I want to capture mining and construction as is. They always ask, what do you want us to do? And I say, well, what were you doing before I got here? That's it. What were you doing yesterday? Like, that's all I want you to do. I want to be a fly on the wall to just capture the work as is, because I think it's beautiful. I think it's exactly as it should be, and I don't want to really alter it. But when you walk onto a job site with a camera, you are the opposite of a fly on the wall, and you have to connect with people as quickly as possible, break down that barrier. And so I try, to just look the part. I try not to stand out and look like an idiot, because sometimes you'll see some people that don't go on job sites regularly, right, wearing stuff that is not worn on a job site. And no matter who you are, that just puts you behind. That creates a barrier between you and everybody else. So I try to just look the part. to I don't assume I know anything. I'm not trying to be the smart guy. It's not about me. I'm not trying to make it about me. I'm trying to make it about them and whatever's going on. And so I try to come at it with a sense of humility. I try to demonstrate that I'm not a total outsider, and it's a balance. It's like, I don't want to say, yeah, I'm smart, I know what's going on here, but I might throw out a term or ask them an intelligent question to suggest, oh, okay, so he does know how to lay pipe. He has been on a job site before. That's a really, really good way to do things. And then I'll try to just bond with people in a human level. Hey, how are you? What's your name? Do you have a family? Oh, you have a family. How many kids do you have? How old are your kids? What are they into? I'll just immediately go to family or something that I know they really care about, with a genuine sense of curiosity to just connect with them on a human level. If I'm in somewhere with a language barrier, humor is awesome. Humor is my favorite tool because it is. I think it's so amazing to be on the other side of the world and to laugh about something with somebody else who probably doesn't understand what you're laughing at, but is also laughing. Like, it's just this moment of human connection that is formed purely just by laughter and by a simple joke or something funny. And so I'll try to do something like that. And then I try to, a lot of times, make them part of the process. If I go take someone's picture, I'm going to go show them the picture. I'm going to show them how cool they look. And then now they're like, whoa, this is cool. I try to, if you're not photographing somebody, just demonstrate that I'm there to make them look good, to help them, to do whatever it is for them. And so I'll show them and try to make them part of the process. I would say that's at least how I've evolved my process.
That's a wonderful answer. I'm glad I asked. You mentioned curiosity, listening to, I don't know, you guys are pushing up on what, a couple hundred episodes of Dirt Talk?
Yeah, we did a bunch of like 0.5 episodes. So we've probably done like 250 or 300 episodes.
Okay. I don't know how many I've listened to, but a bunch. The thing that stands out to me is your curiosity. And it just, growing up in construction, not all aspects of it, but many of them, there's still so many parts of it where I'm like, I know this little sliver. You put me out of the sliver, I don't know what the hell that is. And I've learned it from you. Is curiosity something that you can, as your team grows, as your organization grows, or you work with other clients, is curiosity a skill or something you can teach other people? Or is it simply you can model it and you can put a vocabulary to it? How do you think about that?
I think it's a little bit of both. I always focused on the dirt world. There's always been this draw to go into vertical construction or residential or whatever it is. And I've just never had an interest in that because that's not really what gets me going. Do I appreciate how they build a building straight up and down? Absolutely. I have no idea how they do it, but it just isn't what gets me going. I'm not, can I be curious about it? Yeah. But am I going to be really curious about the basement excavation? Absolutely. And so I've always tried to pursue things in places that I'm genuinely curious about, because then I don't have to manufacture that curiosity. I just have to live it.
Yeah.
But I also think it's a skill. I think you need to understand how to listen and how to ask questions and how to shape a conversation and not make it about you. And so I've had to build, I think the number one skill, it's just obvious with podcasting, is listening. And the moment it really clicked for me was Oprah talking about how she interviews people or interviewed people. And she said she would never work off of a list of questions, because she said, if you're thinking of the next question to ask, you're going to miss the most important question. And that is the next question. Yeah. You don't know what the question is going to be until you can start to unravel the conversation, whatever it is. And so I look at every podcast as like this little puzzle, and I'm going to just start putting pieces together, and I'm not sure. It's like a puzzle without the box. I don't know what the picture is going to look like, but I can find like pieces and kind of connect the dots and ultimately come up with a full picture. I see what this is. So I've tried to to pursue things that I just have a genuine curiosity about. And everybody, I think, has things they're genuinely curious about. It might not be a specific topic or whatever it is, but there's something out there that gets you going in just a little way. And if you don't know what it is, you have to pay attention. You have to listen. You have to watch. You have to understand your feelings. Like, I don't know what it is, but every time I see a bulldozer, I'm just fired up. I'm just drawn to it like a moth is to a flame. And so that's the vein I've stayed within. I think it served me well.
You mentioned that phrase, how to shape a conversation. Go into that a little bit more, because I have learned a ton. I don't know if you've ever gone back and listened to some early episodes of your own podcast. I'm like, I hope no one else is listening to those, because I feel like I've gotten so much better just in what we do. Like, kind of this art of having an easygoing conversation that makes it sound easy. When you talk about shaping a conversation, what do you mean by that?
Well, we could talk to the same person and have 1 hour conversation with them, 1 hour podcast, exact same person, same topic, come up with two completely different conversations, right? Yeah. It would be totally different. And I think that's part of it is when I sit down and talk to somebody, step one, again, when I show up with the camera, they don't want their picture taken. They don't want me there. They want nothing to do with that. And so I need to disarm them in a way. And when someone sits down to have a podcast with me, most everybody that comes on our podcast has never been on a podcast before. So they're anxious, they're nervous. How am I going to say? And then they're hearing their voice through the headphones, and that's a little different. I'm not used to hearing my voice before, and they're in this foreign place, and they're in this heightened sense that I have to break down. And so I'll just right away, I want to get them. I want them to forget where they are and what they're doing. Yeah. I just want them to lose that as quickly as I possibly can. And so I might do a lot of talking, and I'm going to be very calm in how I go about it, and ask them very simple questions, that they don't have to think very much about, that don't require a lot of analysis. And then I'll start, as we get into the conversation, kind of guiding them where I want to guide them based on what I'm curious about, based on what they know, based on what the conversation has to offer. And then there's a certain cadence to a conversation. And so you have to push a conversation along, but you don't want it to go too fast. You don't want to go too slow. There's just like this in between that is different for everybody. There's no one single formula you can apply to everybody, because every human being is different. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but I have come to appreciate the art of at least having a conversation. And then it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect. Once you start something, you think you're better at it than you really are, because, well, I can have a conversation with somebody. I've talked to people my whole life. And then you get into podcasting and realize, oh my goodness, this is really hard, and I am an idiot. And you realize how little you really know. Right. And then as you practice and get those reps in, you start to build your confidence. And you look at the mountain that is what you don't know, but you chip away at it slowly, and it becomes a lot of fun, because it's I think this beautiful art form that is changing with every conversation.
The Dunning-Kruger effect. I can guarantee you, I don't know, this will be episode 360 some, maybe 370 something. No one has ever mentioned the Dunning-Kruger effect. Vaguely, I'm flashing back to like Champaign-Urbana, my college years, maybe a psychology course. What is that?
It's the concept of when you start, say you're going to play tennis, you show up to the tennis court, your ego's kind of at play, and you think you're better at tennis than you really are. Say you've been watching professional tennis. I know tennis. I know how to play tennis. And then you get into playing tennis, and you start to learn about the court and the different the ways you can hit the ball, and the different rackets, and the difference in types of court, and difference in opponents. And you start to realize, oh my goodness, I know nothing about tennis. And you start to understand as you play more and more how little you really know. So your confidence is high at first, and then it goes all the way down into this valley where you start to appreciate and understand your ignorance. And then you start to build your skills and build a real sense of confidence. So when you start, you have that false confidence. And then when you practice and become that master, you ultimately create that real sense of confidence. So that is, in too many words, the Dunning-Kruger effect.
I love it. Talk to me a little bit about your recommendations, your learnings on, I'll just say, social media, marketing in general, just following you on Instagram, checking out your website, seeing your vlog, your newsletters. Just so impressed with what you guys are able to do. I often share these with my team, and I'm saying, all right, what they're doing here, we're kind of, but I feel very much in the Dunning-Kruger effect land, whatever that is, where we're like, social media, we can do this. We can do videos. I write, we can do that. And then you're like, no, we can't. We have no idea what the hell we're doing. What's your advice to folks who are, let's just say on Instagram, to trying to grow a better audience, deliver more value, create more engagement there? What have you learned from that? What would you share with the audience?
So I look at this, and I just talked about this recently. I look at this, if I were to just say, you should be on social media, it's going to have no impact. It's like me telling you should go to therapy because it'd be good for you. It's not going to register. Your defenses go up. Your ego's at play. Like I don't need to go to therapy. I know what I'm doing. Thank you very much.
Sure.
But if I explain to you how impactful therapy has been on my life, and just say, this has been so remarkable and so impactful on my personal life, on my business life, then now you're thinking, hey, that might be something I because it's your idea. It's you're going to consider it now. Yeah. And so with social media, I don't tell people you should post on social media. Should you post on social media? Absolutely. But I would not have anybody that I employ. I'm able to play a role in employing over 70 people as a result in social media. My current relationship was created by social media. I have been to 4 continents this year because of social media. Our business will do 8 figures because of social media. It's all because of social media. And I didn't understand social media when I started. I still don't understand it. All I did was I just started somewhere. I just started posting. I still don't know how to edit videos. Most every video I post on social media is coming from my phone, which everybody else also has. There's very low production quality to what I do. I've just, over the course of a few years, I've practiced how to tell a story. And so if someone says, okay, I want to get serious on social media, all I say is post every day for 30 days. That's it. Well, I don't know what to post. You'll figure it out. If you have to make a post, if that's the rule, you'll figure out what to post, because then you start to train your brain to look for stories, to look for things to offer people. Because right now, you don't know what to post because you're not looking for things to post to share. You're not looking for those stories. But as you learn to start looking for them, they're everywhere. They're all around you, no matter who you are, where you work, what your life looks like. You have something to offer, and all you need is a phone to capture it. You don't even need a picture. You don't even need a video. It could just be text. That's as simple as it is. And so I think if you're not on social as an individual or a business, but as an individual, you are leaving so much on the table. There is so much richness in social if you use it as a tool that I think you're missing out upon. And I'm just a huge advocate of. So if you're listening to this, I want to be on social media. Choose one platform. Maybe it's LinkedIn. Okay, I'm going to post every day on LinkedIn for the next 30 days. That's it. What do you post? I don't care what you post. Talk about your family. What'd you do this weekend? What's something you learned this week? What's a picture you have on your phone from 2 years ago of a cool project, and how can you talk about it? I don't know, but everybody has something they can talk about. And if you look at it from how do I inspire people? How do I educate people? How do I entertain people? How do I provide value? You'll find a way, and you'll find just amazing things happening as a result.
You mentioned being on 4 different continents this year. How do you decide what projects you will go to? Because I think quite literally, the globe is your opportunity here. And how do you figure out where your time is best spent? Kind of maybe a time management question, but how do you figure out where you go and what you say no to?
Most of it's driven by curiosity.
Okay.
It's just whatever I find cool. Like, for example, this year I went to Chile and I saw last year a headline on LinkedIn that said, Finning Cat and Caterpillar completes the largest truck deal ever with BHP Escondida. And they said they sold 160 798 AC haul trucks, which is Caterpillar's biggest truck. It's over a 400-ton truck. This thing is a monster. And I thought, I want to go see that. And so I want to go see that. And so I got in touch with the people I know up in Finning, Canada, who I originally got in touch with through LinkedIn, through social media. I formed a relationship with them. They connected me with the folks in Chile. The folks in Chile then connected me with the right people at the dealer, and we built a trip around it. And then there I was, 126, 6 months later, looking at the second truck to roll out the gates of their assembly area to go to the Escondida mine, because I was curious about it, because I thought it was cool, and because I think I keep it in a genuine, keep that genuine sense of curiosity and desire that comes across in my storytelling as genuine, because it is genuine. Mm-hmm. And so people then follow along.
That's hilarious. Dude, let's talk about, I was going to ask a question about Dirt World Summit. So you got Jocko Willink. I was going to ask a question like how'd that happen? My guess was somewhere you cross paths with Jocko and we're like, I like this cat. He should come to be part of our show. Tell me about how the whole Dirt World Summit came to be, and maybe fill our audience, if they're unfamiliar with it, what goes into it and how you guys deliver value there.
Yeah. So the Ariat Dirt World Summit is an event we created. It's the first time we're hosting this event this year. It's leadership and workforce development exclusively for the construction industry. So we focused on the biggest issue, workforce development, and kept it extraordinarily tactical. This is not a rah-rah deal. This is what I can go do as a leader to improve myself, to better lead my team, to better lead my business, to retain people, to attract people, and ultimately turn this problem into an amazing opportunity. That's the whole objective. And we've always been fixated on leadership because I think that's where everything starts. It's such a powerful, powerful skill. And I think it's desperately needed in the trades, in construction, in the dirt world. And we've formed relationships with those that we've really resonated with. So Jocko's one of them, because the first time I read Extreme Ownership was like a slap in the face. Like, this makes a lot of sense. What the heck? Of course. I think I read it in college for the first time. And we reached out to him because everybody's accessible thanks to the internet nowadays, and built a relationship with them in prior years. And then when we had the idea to create this event this year, we called him and asked, do you want to be involved in this? And he doesn't really do outside events beyond their own events, but he said, yeah, because we had that relationship, we'd put in the groundwork, and he knew he could make an impact and teach a lot of great people in construction the same principles on leadership. So it wasn't, I'm terrified of putting together an event that's nonsense. That's me talking about leadership. I'm 28. What do I know? I don't know anything about anything. And so I can't get up there and, yeah, guys, here's what you need to do to lead and to overcome this. It's so simple, you dummies. I'm going to sit in the audience and then find the best people on the subject to get up on the stage and talk about it. And I'm going to be writing notes as furiously as the next guy. Yep. So that's what we've done. We have Jocko coming. We have Bob Chapman, who wrote one of my favorite books, Everybody Matters. Mm-hmm. We have the CEO of Dale Carnegie, author of another one of my favorite books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's a long list of extraordinary leaders, those that we've met in the industry, outside the industry, for that 2-day event. October 26th, 27th, Houston, Texas. And then we have some amazing companies like Ariat supporting the event as well. So we'll have at least 700 senior executives within the heavy civil construction industry and construction industry overall there. It's going to be fantastic.
And this is the first time you've put this on?
First event.
Hat tip to you, man. Normally, like you start out the first one, you're like, let's just keep it tight. Let's try to get 100 people there. You're like, if we're going to do it, let's do it right and get 700 people there. Congratulations. That's exciting. Cause Jocko, I had a gig that overcame it. Jocko had one of his musters in 5 miles from my house. And I'm like, we're going to do that. I was going to take my whole team. And then basically I got a gig from a great client. I couldn't say no. So I'm like, we can't do that. So I was looking at your event there and just like, dude, these are our people. We're 4 hours away. So, well, congrats to you. That's really exciting. As we wrap up here, Aaron, tell people, cause, by the way, maybe just real quickly, I've got your leadership training by Jocko that is in your training library. Mm-hmm. When you go to shoot that, I just saw a couple clips, like everything you guys do, super high professionalism. The video looked great. Are you guys flying to them to do the video? Is he flying to you guys? When you guys create those, what does that look like?
It's a little bit of both. So we've created, now nearly 1,500 training videos for the construction industry on anything from how to use a shovel to how to take care of yourself physically, mentally, how to take advantage of a 401k. And it's been a combination for Jocko. If Jocko wants to shoot, I'll go wherever he is. Yes. I'm on a plane every week anyway. And I've learned that if someone's willing to meet, I don't care what it takes. I'm on a plane to go see them. I don't ask them to come to me. But then we've shot on job sites in many different states. We've shot in Nashville. We've just done whatever we need to do to make it happen. It's been a kind of a scrappy mentality. And so there's no one size fits all with any of that. Like, a course we're going to go shoot next is traffic control. Okay. And so we thought, what companies do we know that do traffic control and do it well? And so we thought C.W. Matthews in Georgia, biggest DOT contractor. They have their own traffic control department. So we talked with them and, hey, are you interested in this? And so now we're going to shoot traffic control, do the studio work here, but then shoot with their traffic control crews in Atlanta. So it's just, it varies. But I've learned, if nothing else, it's always worth the plane ticket, always worth going to meet people in person. Don't do stuff over video if you can help it, because in-person conversations win every single time. Yep. Every time. Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, hey, where can people learn more about what you do? And again, you guys are helping people find and post jobs. You just referenced your learning development library. You guys help people with their marketing and media, their branding. Obviously the Dirt Talk podcast is one of, if not the most popular construction podcast on the planet. If people are interested in learning more about you, learning more about BuildWitt or Dirt Talk, where would you recommend they go next?
BuildWitt.com to learn about our business. And then me, I post every day, LinkedIn, Aaron Witt, AARONWITT, YouTube, post videos every week, podcast, Dirt Talk podcast every week. Instagram, we're on every social media platform there is, having fun, preaching the gospel of the dirt world.
Awesome. Appreciate you, man. This is a great place to end. Aaron, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, then, friends, how did that go? Hopefully you enjoyed my conversation with Aaron Witt. Coming out of that conversation, there were so many little notes that kind of reinforce some things that we're doing that we're probably not doing well yet, but we're getting better. And that's kind of the path that he was on. Just start doing it, kind of take that first step and continue to move in the right direction. And the next steps in that path will be available. Also, his whole insight or his recommendation of identifying a couple big things that are out there that are scary, big goals to go after, and then just commit and to go after it. I found very powerful. If you enjoyed this conversation, please rate and review us on whatever podcast platform you are listening to or watching. That means more to us than you know. And we are recording videos for essentially every single podcast we are doing moving forward, including this one with Aaron Witt. You can find that at YouTube at Bradley Hartman and Co. Our goal is to put these in smaller bite-sized chunks to make it easier for you to learn and for you to share with your team and your customers and your prospects to help us build a better, more profitable, safer construction industry. So I'm going to close out like we always do with our leadership mantra. You, my friend, are owed nothing. Deliver value first. Make it a great week.